So before I actually get the video started and you can see the entire Conqueror Rework and all the changes because they can explain it better than me. As I stated, I'm a dedicated, casual, competitive For Honor player. So what that means to you is that really I like to play For Honor a lot. I'm not the best. I'm good enough and I like to win. But I don't always win. Not even close. But I have fun playing the game. So with all that being said, my thoughts on comp. I really like the changes that they made. I think the only thing I might have an issue with, and thank goodness this is testing grounds, so make sure you all give your feedback. So that way, if our voices are heard, and if it's loud enough, some of this stuff will not be in the game. I do like the majority of it. I don't like the Agent Orange, man. I don't like the fact that he can just go unblockable to unblockable to unblockable. You know, I don't think that's necessary. He has so many other things, so many other cancels that he can go into that. Pretty safe full block, in my opinion, depending on the move you pull off. I also am not a fan of him being able to get an execution off the bash because you can go heavy or light. I do like the light change because the light change makes it so it's good for team fights. So I think that is a positive change for him. I don't like the fact that he can go from bash straight into a heavy and get an execution off of that. But overall, like I said, I like the changes. You guys check this out. Let me know what you think in the comments because I'm curious. I'm not a Conk main. I'm not a Conk player. I haven't played Conk in probably 2 years. And I'm not even going to lie about that. The only time I think I was even using Conk, and that was when I was just trying to get like a flail or something that I thought was a cool weapon of his, just in case this moment, which it seems like is coming, comes along. So that way, when I do play Conk, at least I'll have some of the weapons that he had. But I didn't get them all because I didn't have enough steel to get them and I wasn't playing them long enough. So anyway, check it out. Let me know what you think because some of you guys that know this game better than me, play it better than me. So I want to hear your thoughts.
Everybody, welcome to the Conqueror and Shaolin showcases. So we're going to start with Conqueror first to show you what has changed from the live version to the testing ground, or from the testing ground version and the live versions to this new version that we're going to be shipping in this new season. So first we have the full block stance. So Conqueror is really known for his full block stance. Very, very useful move. He has a lot of things he can do out of it, but the issue that we have on live right now is that it's a little bit too strong. There's a bit of different things. So we're trying to buff it in a way that makes sense. So the first thing that you can do with Conqueror right now, which is really interesting, is that you can cancel the recovery of any attack. So I can throw out a light, go into superior block. I can throw a heavy, go into full block stance. I can do a side dodge bash into a superior block. You can cancel basically any single one of your attacks into full block. Very well, so that really helps you catch dodge attacks, helps you react to some people, so that should be really, really interesting. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that before, when you used to block attacks in full block stance, you would get your own stamina drained. So right now I can go into full block, and then, see I'm blocking attacks, and no stamina drain whatsoever. So that should really, really help Conqueror be more defensive in a lot of situations without sacrificing all of his stamina. Next up, we have 2 new moves. Well, one new and one a little bit less new, but rearranged. So we have Flayed Uppercut. So Flayed Uppercut is now performed whenever you do a shield bash. So you can do shield bash with heavy like this. You can do it off a side dodge, no problem. You can also do it when you superior block somebody. So let's go to selection there. Or you can do from a top attack as well. I'm going to superior block while I dodge. Like this, right? So this attack deals quite a bit of damage, but the beautiful thing is that it's on heavy input and it can execute. So when you're in a 1v1 situation, you want to use it when you superior block people or you hit them with a shield bash to be able to really deal a little bit more damage and execute at the same time, which is one of the top requests we've had from the testing grounds. People really wanted to have that to be able to execute. At the same time, we also have Scottish Collection that we had in the previous testing grounds, which is whenever you superior block an attack, and you press light, you go into this full 360 zone that's unblockable, hits everybody around you, has really good trajectories. So you can do it off of any superior block, so off of full block or off of this as well. And the other change that we've done is that you can also do it after any shield bash as well. So the reasoning here is that we wanted the Conqueror to be able to have options for both 1v1 and like group fights when you're outnumbered, so that you can actually start to use your shield bashes and use a bit more of your kit depending on the situation and not be locked, right? So it's always more choice. We want to have a lot more choice for Conqueror to be able to get into those really, really cool, interesting moments and give the hero a lot more strength. We also have the zone attack. So the zone attack has changed a little bit from live. You used to be able to hold it. It had superior block while you were doing it. It was a bit too strong. One of the bigger problems was that if you were facing somebody that would throw an attack, you could zone attack. And if they let the attack go, you would superior block it. If they feinted it and tried to do like a light or a guard break, you would interrupt them with your zone attack. So the only actual solution to it was you always had to do heavy feint parry all the time on it. So we wanted to get rid of that a little bit. So now like a zone attack is just you hit it once, now I'm holding the buttons and it doesn't loop. But in exchange, it deals a bit more damage. So it does 15. And it can also now chain, right? So you can do this into that and you can keep going. So that's super interesting. It initiates chains. You can go into your shield bash and chains, whatever you want to do. So you can actually use it a little bit more offensively now. Speaking of chain bash, so the bash that the shield bash that Conqueror has in chains now is still 800 milliseconds, but the beauty of it is you can now feint it. So you can go into heavy feint bash. So a lot of the complaints that we had, a lot of the feedback that we got from the testing grounds is that Conqueror didn't have enough pressure and offense in 1v1 because that shield bash was not really feintable. It was fast, but it was not feintable. You couldn't really do anything with it, and there wasn't really a mix-up around with it. So this time we made it into like a one full complete move, which is a bash that can feint. So you can do whatever you want with it. It's super strong. And the beauty of it too is that it also goes into Scottish Collection, or it also goes into Flayed Uppercut as well. So all these things mesh together quite well. So that's super interesting. Another thing to note is that Scottish Collection and Flayed Uppercut both chain. They initiate chains, so you can go back into your chains. They don't go into the shield bash because we want to try to avoid having unblockable into unblockable into unblockable for bashes specifically going back to back. So we have that little bit of a limitation. But as you'll see, Conqueror's chain offense is also much stronger. So the next thing we want to look at is the chain heavies. So Conqueror's heavies and chains were a little bit lackluster. They were just infinite, didn't really do much. So now they are always unblockable from every side. Conqueror as an unblockable heavy chain. Now they're all 800 milliseconds. They're really strong. They do 27 damage each. So that by itself should give Conk a lot of pressure. You can use those when you're outnumbered to hit people around you. Super, super, super good. So it's very, very interesting there. For the neutral heavies, now the damage has been normalized. So normally, like on the sides now, you do 24, and on top you do 27. Before Conk had slightly lower damage values, so we really normalized those, so the damage is normalized with the rest of the cast, so Conqueror doesn't deal less damage in this case. When you charge the heavy, so the beauty of it now is that you charge for a lot less longer. When you normally used to charge for 1000 ms for a full second, now you only charge for 600, so it charges much faster. But to compensate, the damage on the attack is actually a little bit lower. It's at 28. It used to be above 30, so that was like a little bit too strong. So with that around, like a Conqueror can still charge. It's a lot easier to charge. You get into those mix-up a little bit easier. You can like start to initiate from external if you don't want to do a bash to feed a lot of revenge. So that works really, really well. The other thing that's super interesting too is that Conqueror can now actually feint his heavies. So you can throw a heavy and feint it. It also applies to the heavies and chains. Previously, Conk could only really feint his heavies into a superior block, right? So you can go to full block stance, you can still do that, but now you can actually do heavy feint guard break and actually do these things. You can do heavy feint into a parry, into whatever you want to do. It works much, much, much better. So that's quite interesting, and it works really, really well. And the last thing I want to point out is that in the last testing grounds, Conqueror had removed his infinite light chains. We put them back. But we put them back exactly how they were on live, meaning that if you do the same direction, they are still very slow. We wanted to make that change so that Conqueror wasn't really negatively impacted in his minion clear, which was a bit of a problem in the testing grounds. But at the same time, we want to make it a bit easier for some players to react to those infinite lights. It can be kind of overwhelming at lower skill levels to have infinite lights in all three directions constantly. So by doing that, at least you only have to really care about two, because if you use a previous direction, it's a lot easier to block. So that's about it for Conqueror.